just get started. These are the cursory slides where I say, hey, welcome to DC207. This is our December edition. Thank you so much for joining us. I know like during all this, it's easy to get kind of torn away from other stuff, and these events are kind of hard to get to. So I appreciate you spending your time today with us. I just have a couple of slides. If you've never been with us before, DC207 is Maine's DEF CON chapter. We meet every third Thursday. We just switched nights. We used to meet every second Thursday, but it was really too close to ISD squared, so we kind of like split that up a little bit. The guiding principle is that technical information security stuff is awesome, so let's talk about it. We have kind of a DEF CON twist on here. Another thing that is something that's very near and dear to my heart is that we have zero sort of like paid sponsored content. It's usually just folks coming to our group and giving us really cool content, which I'm all about. Tonight, and again, Chris told me I could use this picture, and does he not look like someone you want to hang out with? Like, look how cool this guy is.
The figure guns have me sold.
That's an awesome picture.
Yeah. So tonight we have Chris Elgee. He is a hacker, application security guy, a challenge builder extraordinaire. He's so involved with the SANS Holiday Hack Challenge, and I'm so honored to have him with us today. You live right in Maine, and we've never had you before, and I'm just really excited because I've always kind of been like, oh man, it'd be great to have Chris Elgee to come like right around Christmas to talk about the Holiday Hack Challenge, and I'm so glad we were able to convince you to do this. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, and I'll give you the floor, Chris, and you should be able to start sharing now.
It doesn't want to let me quite yet. It says participant screen sharing is disabled.
Oh, great. Hold on.
While he's working on that. Yeah, so similarly, I've heard a lot of great things about the DC207 chapter. Josh Moss talks it up all the time, and I've been meaning to get to it since the before times. It's easier now because we're online. So I'm grateful to be able to come and hang out. My wife would love to be here too, but we have 4 kids, so it's hard for us to both be at the same thing at the same time because they would eat each other.
Try sharing now, Chris.
Oh, perfect.
How old are your kids?
They are 6, 7, 9, and 11.
Oh yes, that's a rambunctious age.
Yeah, they're full of it, but they're fun, and they get into this stuff a little bit. They're young enough that they're more interested in like physical hacks than some of the digital stuff, but they're still fun. So yeah, I've been doing computer stuff since kindergarten, right? We had the Apple II in the classroom, and whatever. Fast forward a whole lot. I got a bachelor's in computer science, and then ended up doing a lot of Army stuff for a while, like in the Maine Army National Guard. Did a lot with the 133rd Engineer Battalion, and helping build ball fields and stuff like that, and deploying and whatever. And I just kept. I got to do like a little bit of cyber security here and there, and had the bug and really wanted to get back to it. And finally, when I was going in my 3rd year of being like a budget manager in some section, I said, all right, I'm done with the Army thing, at least full time. I still do it part time, and I want to do this as much as I can. So I got a bunch of certs. I actually did the SANS Vet Success Academy, which is like a free thing for veterans to go and get 3 certs. So I did that. I studied for OSCP on my own and got that, and then became a pen tester with Sage Data Security. So I met Josh Moss and Gary and everybody. It was with them for about a year, and then got an offer from Ed Scotus to work for CounterHack that I could not turn down. So there is no, at least I hope there's no BS product endorsement here, but I am going to talk about the Holiday Hack a lot. It is free though. We're not selling anything. Even if you buy like the KringleCon swag in the virtual world,
Christmas hats on.
What's that?
Should I go get a hat?
It does help. Yeah. The experience is better with the hat on. But yeah, even if you buy swag like through the thing, we don't get a penny from that. We don't make a cent off it. This is the thing that we like to give back to the community. We do other things, other paid products and pen tests and different things, really just to fund our ability to do the holiday hack every year. So that'll be kind of the focus of this. So I'm gonna blow through some slides. By all means, please interrupt if you have any questions, and then I hope we have a lot of good discussion at the end too. So just let's just blow through some slides here about CTFs. And all the while too, there was this great tweet this spring. Somebody asked, why are CTFs bad? And they got a lot of really good answers that they were eye-opening. Like some of them I kind of knew, but some of them were really good for me. So we'll pop into some of the replies to this thread as we go through. So first and foremost, whenever we're doing something like this, we're trying to teach skills, right? Specific skills, and what they are, who knows? I mean, some of the whatever paid things here have specific purposes, but like with KringleCon, we try to just pick things that are new and relevant, things that people can use in their everyday job, and then build challenges around those concepts. And yeah, they're all a little bit different. Okay, yeah, whatever. All right. So sometimes they're competitive, right? The live net wars thing is well, in the before times, we'd all get in a room and there'd be music pumping and all that, and people would get in and compete. And competition is fine. Not everybody likes to compete though. I like the tweet at the bottom. CTFs are kind of like the esport of cybersecurity. But some people just want to kind of play around a bit and learn, and we have to be cognizant of that as we're building things, that we don't make it all feel like it's a tournament and feel like it's only for people who want to win. We get a ton of people who come into the holiday hack and only solve 1 or 2 challenges and have a great time doing it and learn things. And we're here just as much for them as we are for the power players who want to go and win things. So we've got a whole range of people we want to target. From the absolute new people to the super ninjas. The picture in the background there is from a National Guard exercise. We get to do these about once a year, and they're regional. And if anybody, by the way, wants to get involved with this, like we'll bring in National Guard units to defend like a fictional network, and we'll have real civilians come who either work for a power company or work for a hospital or work for some entity that might at some point want to partner with the National Guard for incident response or some type of activity. And then they act as the network owners through this 1 or 2 week exercise. So there's a shot of that in the background of what we call Cyber Yankee. So yeah, some people feel really out of depth in CTFs, and that's kind of too bad. I think there's a trick to ramping them up and to making sure they're appropriate to the audience. As far as holiday hack goes, we do our best.
I'm not for network though.
Say that again?
Sorry, I was talking to my wife. Okay.
So for holiday hack, we try to make sure that at least the first few challenges can be accomplished by anybody, and that can be hard to sound sometimes. And here's a graph because nerd, and I like to have graphs. I think it's useful to think about challenges in terms of how long they take and how ninja you have to be to solve them. And there's some that are relatively simple that take a long time, like I like the zip turducken, where you get a file and you unzip it and then you untar it and then you unbzip it and then it's base64 encoded, and it's relatively simple, but just takes some time to go through it and may or may not be a good time. Versus some that might be super fast, right? But you got to be a ninja for like some kind of stack-based buffer overflow with a canary or whatever, and we try to do a bit of each of these. With a holiday hack, it's up for years. You can play the last at least 5 years at any point, but we try to. There's a competition period from when we release it, which was last week, until like the first or second week in January, and since it's up for like a month for competition, we tend to have some challenges that take longer. There's a really gnarly blockchain challenge that rounds this one out that will take some time to get through. There's some really cool stuff in it, but it's not the kind of thing you can run in a short event. At the same time too, we have the terminals, and these are like little SSH or little Linux terminals that pop up right in your browser. that you can interact with. You can hopefully finish them in 5 to 15 minutes and learn something. And some are super simple and some are more challenging. Incidentally, I was giving Josh Moss a hard time today because he's with AWS now, and one of the in-browser terminals we have is looking for an S3 bucket. And you kind of feed a word list and you try to find out what's available in respect to this particular challenge. And what was happening was so many players were running this bucket finder program from our Google Cloud IP addresses that we were getting this really odd form of shunning where we could still connect and ask Amazon if there's a bucket with this name, and it would still give an answer, but the answer would be no every time because it was like this weird soft shunning, which he called a feature and an interesting security one. So anyway, kind of fun. There's also a whole spectrum in terms of how much guidance you give. There is value in the here's a terminal ready go challenge, right? If you're going to do the OSCP thing, this is exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get a terminal and it's ready go, and you scan around, you find things, and you have to figure out what the problem is and then solve it. With Holiday Hack and with a lot of the stuff I like to build, we like to have it a lot more guided. In these CringleCon adventures we do, we'll have elves that give hints, we'll give talks. In fact, there's a whole talk this year on the Mersenne twister. And if you don't know, that Mersenne twister is a very common method of taking a seed and then generating a series of random numbers or pseudo-random numbers from that seed. It's used in all kinds of places, including in a couple of our challenges this year. So someone gives a talk about the Mersenne twister. Then there's a terminal challenge, snowball fight, which I got to build, had a lot of fun with. It's like a battleship clone. And you can learn to predict the pseudo-random numbers with that and beat it on impossible, and you win without missing. And then use that Mersenne twister knowledge to attack the blockchain problem at the end, because there's a nonce with each block in the chain that is generated by a Mersenne twister, and you can predict the next nonce with that knowledge. So I love it when we can build on concepts like that, when we can bring people from wherever they're starting up through something that's kind of fun and whimsical to something that's really much more technical and difficult by bringing them along that way. We've also had a lot of fun lately with these split screen terminals. There are a couple in the Holiday Hack. We've also done some in the mini net wars. These are free events that we ran through the summer. They still pop up every once in a while. If you don't recognize the little graphic there in the terminal, that's a nod to the original Zelda. We're also big fans of hints. So if it's a mini net wars or something, then we put it right in the window there. You'd be surprised at how many people will not touch the hint button. Some people just would much rather bang their head against the wall and not take the hint, and that's fine. That's fine. It's your time. Spend it how you will. And there's some value in that, just like there's some value in the old try harder motto. But we do offer hints there. In Holiday Hack, it's all given by elves in dialogue, and it shows up in your CringleCon badge, and we can look at that in a little bit too. Realism matters. It's super cool when you can have like SCADA simulators in the room and all that, but that's hard to do. Next slide. I'm doing this in a VM and it doesn't like all my clicks. One trap that's easy to fall into is when there's a challenge that ought to have multiple solutions, but you've only set it up to have one. So whenever possible, if you find yourself building a CTF, try to have more than one solve path. Here's an example of something from an earlier CTF where folks had to decrypt something, and we gave them a couple ways to do it. We said, hey, you can do this with OpenSSL, or here's a bit of Python code you could use to do the same thing. So that way, if they've got a preference or if they want to learn a new way to do something and they already knew one way, then we've got that offer to them. So multiple solve paths are a great way to go. Incidentally, in the Snowball Challenge this year, there are 2 solve paths, and one was completely unintended. The intended path is grabbing these like a series of rejected random numbers and then finding the next one in the series. But a few players have found another way around that, but I won't spoil that for you if you want to play. Yeah, some people think it's a race to find the one known solution, and if you set it up that way as a CTF designer, that's kind of your fault. Although it's hard to avoid sometimes. one trap we try to avoid is something we call guess what the challenge developer is thinking. And this is, if you've played any CTFs at all, I'm sure you've hit that point where you're working on something and like you've followed the logical path. Like if this were a pen test, if this were some internal security assessment, you've done the steps that you think you should have, but you don't know what's supposed to come next. And it's a matter of getting in the mind of the challenge developer. And you're going to try to avoid that as much as possible. I'd like to admit that I was totally that guy this year with an earlier version of Snowball. It was based on editing WebSockets and like reading and writing them on the wire. So what the challenge was, hey, can you defeat the enemy in one shot? Can you defeat the enemy just with only firing once? And to me, it seemed logical that well, you can shoot at 0-2 and 0-1 and 0-0. And if you shot at 0-1, you were hitting the enemy and you were defeating the enemy with one shot. A lot of people did not get what I was stepping in there in terms of insinuation. And that's a bummer because, I was trying to be fun with wordplay. By the way, with wordplay too, when you have international participants, a lot of them don't speak English as a first language. So when you have subtleties in a wording and a challenge, then it kind of puts them at a disadvantage. So it's something to think about. One thing too this year that we hadn't considered was one of our challenges is like a graphical game where you're trying to get Santa's elevator to work, and there are these like Santa sparkles shooting through, and you got to deflect them to different receptors and color them the right color. Well, some people don't have good color vision, and we hadn't considered that in the design of the challenge. So we've since edited it to put icons on the different colored light bulbs and the different colored receptors, so that even if you have no color vision, you can play that game again. So be sensitive to your audience and don't make them guess what you're thinking. This is somebody's comment on CTFs. They're computer riddles. If the Sphinx was doing the thing in 2020, he'd be making CTFs. Riddles are dumb. I like a little bit of riddle. I like a little bit of fun, a little bit of wordplay, but not everybody's into that. I think it's really neat how our profession is made up of so many different types of people. We have the very technical, I do nothing else but hang on a keyboard all day. We've got folks who are big into creating music. I saw a banjo in Ben's office. I've got an acoustic bass next to me. We've got people that are into singing and poetry and crocheting, right? So it's a wide audience, and some things will sit well with some people, and nothing will sit well with everybody. For example, storyline. Some people love that we have storyline with our challenges. I think it's super valuable. If for no other reason than it gives you context. When you are doing a pen test, when you are evaluating your own company's security, you have context. You know what, if you're a construction company and you see some files in a system that are about something completely unrelated, you have the context to know that doesn't belong here, that there shouldn't be some exfil program running, right? But in a CTF, you don't have that same context necessarily. You don't know what should be there and what shouldn't be there. So when you give a story and you, let's say you theme something as Star Wars and it's all, Jedi and Yoda and everything, when you see like a file that's stormtrooper.exe, the story context tells you, oh, that doesn't belong. And it helps kind of jumpstart you into the feeling that you would have in a live engagement. So I think stories are great for that. It's not for everybody though. Some people just want to get the challenge and hammer through and get the flags as fast as they can. And that's fine. It makes us a little sad when we put time into stories and people blow through, but that's all right. We're not the customer. And then just one note on classification concerns. I don't know if anybody here works with the military at all, but we have to be careful sometimes using like actual threat actor names and tactics because there are classification issues depending on where we get the tactics and information. But yeah, some people do appreciate stories. Right. So that's what we're going for. That's why we try to get there. And a lot of it is just hard work, right? We at CounterHack we use GitHub all day long. We're pushing commits and reviewing pull requests and all that. We try to, as much as we can, follow like a regular SDLC lifecycle. we try to build targets as code. So rather than like spin up a VM and add all the things to it and then save it out and upload it somewhere, you know, gigabytes and gigabytes, we try to build them up as code. So right now for a future CTF, I'm building a bunch of PowerShell to spin up Windows servers in AWS and then have one promote to domain controller and then load all the fictional users and put in all the vulnerabilities that we need to make everything work. So targets as code, it makes it a lot easier to iterate. Like, so next time we're building this, I have a starter script and I can just change things around a bit and then build them back up. Or if something breaks, like I've got the whole recipe, right? I don't just have the end product that I need to try to fix. I've got the whole recipe and I can just change ingredients and then hit the button again and have it go. QA is huge. If you can get solver scripts to make sure that your challenges like still work all the time. We have health checks this year where one of the challenges goes down a lot because it's just by the nature of it, like it's an asset that players can hack into and get remote code execution on, and hacker's going to hack, it's going to come down every now and again. So we have like these solver script health checks that go and exploit it every 5 minutes or so. And if it suddenly isn't exploitable, then we get an alert for that. And feedback is huge. I'll come back to feedback in just a minute. Click. And this comment I thought was kind of interesting. He's saying that that CTFs can give people the feeling that there are more bugs out there than there actually are. I don't know that that's true. I think a lot of bugs exist and vulnerabilities exist that we just never ever find. The difference with a CTF is, we admit and we know that some are there, and we'll give you some guidance to get there. So agree to disagree, I guess, with Tom Nom Nom. I like the handle though. So this is us. This is our team going through Git issues. This was just, I don't know, a week or two ago. I don't know how much time we spent just going down through lists like this over the past few weeks, getting everything ready to publish. And we're still kind of crunching through some things that pop up. And I guess the last thing about making things work well is just considering flags. Like, it seems, for a company that wants to do storyline and context and that kind of thing, it seems a little fourth wall breaking to have like, a flag, like flag, curly brace, whatever, net wars, curly brace, some flag here. But it makes it super clear to the player what they're supposed to submit. When you ask somebody, hey, connect to the server and tell us what server version is. Well, if they run an nmap scan or versus curling it and looking verbosely at the headers, they might see Apache, they might see Apache HTTPD 268. They may not be sure what to submit, right? If they took one of those alternate solve paths and got a slightly different answer, then that can be tricky. So if you find yourself building a CTF, give a lot of thought to what flags look like. Do you want to just go ahead and break the fourth wall and make it super obvious, or can you be really forgiving on the other end? Can you have your game engine accept like regexes, so that if anything close to the answer you're looking for is input, then the player gets credit for it. That can be a great way to go too. And then you have to decide whether or not you want to assign penalties for wrong answers and blah. This person plays a lot with friends and for fun. That's fantastic. I love seeing people play as teams. I know I learn a lot more when I'm playing with more people. And good to have support when you're running things. So the real secret sauce here is teamwork. This is us posing in Santa's castle right before the game launched, with all our little in-game avatars. I've seen challenges that like one person made, and they can be fun, they can be educational, but when you've got a diverse group of people putting their heads together and each bringing different talents and different perspectives on things, you get such a better product. Things I've built that I've thought were like awesome, somebody else will look at and they'll be like, hey, that's cool, but I don't get the logical step from here to here, or oh, did you think about including this, or hey, your artwork is terrible. Yes, it is. Can I do something a little bit to help you spruce that up? And having a team just makes that enjoyable and much easier. It does mean sometimes having thick skin because people are going to find issues that you didn't find. But at the end of the day, it ends up that you get a better product. So I guess this probably applies to a lot of things in life, but certainly in CTFs, teamwork is a wonderful thing. And yes, hopefully CTFs will make you addicted. Another thing too that I really didn't appreciate as much as I do now is player feedback. We've gotten some great feedback from players, some not so much, right? That the Slack message in the center of the screen there, somebody said that our graphics aren't as good as Call of Duty. That's fine. They have a huge budget, and we don't. We have a lot of fun and get paid in Christmas ornaments. But with all the feedback we get, like we have a public Git repository where players are logging in and putting in issues. They're hopping on the Discord and letting us know where there are problems, and not just when something's broken, but when something doesn't make sense, or they went through a path that should have worked and it didn't. Then that's great feedback for us, because we've kind of gotten the blinders put on. We know what the solve path is supposed to be, and it seems to be working. But when people look at it with fresh eyes, and that can be a really wonderful way to come together and make a better product. So we're still updating the challenges here and making them more solvable, more accessible, I guess. So that's pretty much the end of the slides there. I do encourage people, if you don't want to compete, just don't compete, right? Just go play and have fun. If you want to play something like Holiday Hack, but you don't think you're going to win, who cares, right? The people that win, like the top person will get a free Sans course or whatever, but they'll do amazing work. It'll be this full write-up and a beautiful page, and they'll put like hours and hours and hours into it, and that it's very hard to get to the top of that stack, but who cares, right? You can just come in and play and just spend an hour. If you got to spend a weekend, if you got it, awesome, and learn things and meet people too. It's a social platform. You can chat in game, you can chat in the Discord. Partner up, that's a great way to go. I liked discussing challenges with Josh Moss and Howard McGrean when we were all at Sage together. And yeah, try something new. So those are the end of my slides. I would love to stop the PowerPoint now and just see what discussion there is.
Yeah, so we actually just got a comment from Eric. He had to leave a little early, but he wanted to thank you for the opportunity to join the event. He's still in school and has some basics down. He's been participating in Capture the Flags, but he's still pretty green. And anyway, so he has to go, but he said thank you, and he's going to star your GitHub page. So
awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. This is really interesting, because I've worked on some Capture the Flag challenges before, which I thought they were okay, but to your point, there are different ways of solving problems, and having a diverse team who can help you look at it from a bunch of different directions is awesome. What is it, in your mindset, like, what kind of team would you want to build build these kinds of challenges? Like, do you want people from development backgrounds, QA backgrounds, people who maybe don't even have any security background at all, and they work in some other realm or something? I don't know. Like, what kind of team, would you assemble in that space if you had to do it from scratch?
Yeah, no, honestly, all those people, right? We have this most amazing ops guy, Daniel. He ops all the things. We've got a great QA guy, Tom, who will just read line by line every single thing that you've got in a challenge and just make sure everything is perfect. It can be annoying, but it makes a better product, because he's right. He has great feedback. And we have Lynn, our admin, who is not technical at all, and she'll look at things and say, well, that's kind of ugly, or that doesn't make sense, and that's wonderful feedback to have. We also have the fortune of every year we'll get a loaner from the military. So right now we have a guy named Marcus, who is an active duty Air Force sergeant, and he's working with us for a year. We don't pay him, and he doesn't have to wear a uniform, so it's a good deal for everybody. And he's fairly technical, but he's absolutely an outside perspective. So it's great to have him in there. But at a bare minimum, yeah, you need to have somebody that knows a bit of ops. You need to have somebody that knows the skill that you're trying to teach. And as much as I hate saying this because it's not me, you need to have somebody who knows something about UI design, because I build terrible, horrible, ugly web pages and challenges. And then other people come in and kind of fix things, and they do the CSS thing. I hate CSS. It never works the way I think it should. So good to have a wide, diverse team.
CSS specifically, right?
Oh. Yeah. You ever seen like the Peter Griffin gif of like CSS blinds, and he's like trying to close the mini blinds, and it like goes backwards? Yeah, that's what I feel like with CSS.
Yeah, I once worked with a person who was 100% CSS developer, and it was like she loved it. She loved like the tweaking and the little bits, and like it's like there's so many fine-grained details that you can adjust and just make it perfect. And I'm like, that sounds awful.
Yeah, and then you open it in another browser, and it looks completely different.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, so let's open it up to some questions. So anybody have any questions about the holiday hack? Has anyone even participated in one of these before? I know Gary has. You must have, Gary. No? You've never done it?
No, man, I'm not a hacker. I have zero skills. I am a newbie. I do risk assessments. Not a programmer.
I've been playing along. Chris, I just finished your challenge. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thanks. Glad to hear that.
Yeah. And yeah, it's been a really good experience so far. And I'm in isolation right now, so it's been a good diversion.
Good.
Yeah.
Peter just wrote, he did last year. Josh encouraged him. Yeah, so I had skipped the holiday hack challenge for several years because I was just like, I don't really know. Like, I'm not really into Christmas. Like, I don't know it's for kids, right? And anyway, someone like they were like, you need to try this. Like, Ben, you're gonna love it. And I got on board the holiday hack challenge train. It's so fun. It's like an old school like RPG, but there's like hacking, and it's really cute too. Like there's like so many endearing things like packed into one like web application. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah, we commission a soundtrack every year too. Like we get Dual Core to write a song. Ninjala does a bunch. One of our fans, Mary Ellen Kennel, she recorded a beautiful song that shows up at a turning point in the game. So, yeah.
Curtis is writing. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask if you had any advice for people who are kind of newer to the holiday hack challenge and who are just kind of trying to get into it, what they should look for, and kind of any learning outcomes that you might hope for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So the easiest thing to do if you're not interested in like competing in this year's thing or whatever, or if you don't want to have any big stumbling blocks, is to do any one of the past holiday hack challenges. So if you go back to 2019, there's some beautiful write-ups by like the ESNet team, and the overall winner was this guy named Salah Heldon. I don't know if he has a last name. He always just goes by Salah Heldon, so that's what we call him. But just absolutely wonderful write-up, explains everything, walks through every single challenge. So if you want to just maybe kind of audit what's in a holiday hack, go to one of the past ones, look at some of the winning entries, and just say, oh, that looks like an interesting technology. Maybe I'll try that piece of it. For this year, if you want to hop in this year's, then the Discord channel is fantastic because there are channels for each objective and for channels for a bunch of the specific elves who are working on different challenges. So you can collaborate with people and get hints, give hints. And I love the community aspect of that people can interact, right? It's not just you in a terminal.
That's awesome. Great question, Zach. Curtis wrote, he loves the holiday hack. He thinks it's an amazing on-ramp. What's a good approach that you found for suggesting to folks who might not already be in the environment. Curtis, what do you mean by the environment? Sorry, InfoSec careers, that's what he says. So
okay.
someone who's maybe interested in technology, they don't have a InfoSec career going on right now, maybe they're curious, InfoSec curious maybe. How do you get someone started with that?
Yeah, wow. It's kind of a funny question because I feel like most people aren't curious at all. You know, like I think there are so many people in the world that would be wonderful in our industry. They just have no clue who we are and what we do. They have no clue what the breadth of responsibilities and roles are that there are in cybersecurity. So I think for anybody who's at all curious, they've probably got some idea of something. And I work a lot with Immersion Academy students. So who either did the Vet Success Academy like I did. There's also a Women's Academy and a Diversity Academy. So if you fall in any of these categories, you can get free SANS classes. And anyway, so I mentor some of these people in the evenings, and they'll start taking these classes, and it's like a some intro type things, and then they get into the 504 class. It's like exploit techniques and stuff. And they get a bit of a taste of everything. They get a little piece of forensics, a little piece of policy. Hi, Gary. They get a little piece of pen testing and defense, and something catches their interest. I feel like there's something in our field for everybody. So I think my best advice is just get in and play with things. Try a holiday hack or something at overthewire.org, or just poke around and play in a with virtual machines or whatever you can, and something is going to catch your eye. Something's going to be interesting, and then just go after it, right? I wasn't a pen tester. I wanted to be one, so I got certs and did CTFs and learned as much as I could, and yeah, now I'm a pen tester, and I can open doors with my metal rod and trick the rec sensor with a can of compressed air. So yeah, I think just go after what you find interesting. And you might not get a job in it right away. It might take a little while, a little work, but just work your way toward it, and you'll get there eventually.
Yeah, that's great. Kate McPherson writes, I feel a little out of my league, but I would like to give it a shot. She does IT support, and the only real security experience that she has is with network security class in college. All of this is kind of intimidating. So Curtis says, she understands what he's saying, but she'd like to dip her feet in a few different specialties, see if she can find her niche. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
And I strongly, Kate, definitely get out there. Just to echo Chris's sentiment here, is that there are so many different kinds of diverse minds and talents that belong in our industry. They just don't know that they belong there yet. I've seen people come from just different backgrounds, getting into InfoSec and just completely bringing something different to the table. You don't want that sort of echo chamber where you have all kinds of people that know all the same things and talk about all the same things, right? You really want that diversity. Even though you're intimidated, embrace that. There's power in that. I don't know. That's my thought. Yeah. Nika writes, in reference to using other stories from pop culture in these challenges, what strategies do you recommend for players who might not be familiar with the stories that are used as structural/narrative devices for the challenges? Wow.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I don't know. I think a lot of that, kind of hits me in the developer, right? Like I feel like when I build something, I need to make sure that understanding a pop culture reference isn't a requirement for solving a technical challenge, right? So in the case of Holiday Hack, like we make up a story every year. Specifically, our boss, he has these really weird ideas. This year's probably the weirdest, but it's a story that you get into as you go along. So what a lot of people will end up missing is the storyline. They'll hop in and they don't click on the elves and read the NPC dialogue, and they're just kind of running around from challenge to challenge. and that's fine. You can go through that way, but if, you know, at least for Holiday Hack, if you want to get the story, just, you know, talk to the elves, talk to Santa, and they'll get you there. And then, yeah, gosh, I hope you don't find a CTF where, yeah, lack of knowledge about, you know, Firefly or Stargate or something doesn't, you know, hangs you up.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Stargate, so like if I got a Stargate challenge, I'd be
Same.
like, what?
Educate yourself, son.
Are you just you know, are you a huge Stargate fan, Chris? And or
No.
anything like that?
No, I just pulled that one out of my yeah. I appreciated Richard D. Anderson in MacGyver, but I never watched Stargate. Firefly though, I'm all in.
Yeah, that's even worse if you haven't caught up on.
They say Disney's going to reboot it. We'll see.
Excuse me? Firefly?
Yeah, that's the announcement this week. Is Disney Plus is going to reboot Firefly. So
Whoa.
we'll see.
Here we're back to sci-fi westerns. If The Expanse wasn't good enough for us yet, then anyway, sidetrack.
Chris, I have a question for you that's kind of out of a different scope, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
So I have a friend of mine who is actually just getting out of the military, and he's transitioning into civilian life, and he's really wants to get into the information security field, but he doesn't really have too much of a technical background in computers. Do you have any advice for someone who is trying to make that jump into cybersecurity?
Yeah. So again, the easy answer for somebody coming off of active duty is the SANS Immersion Academy, specifically the Vet Success Academy. Tell him to apply, and then if he doesn't get accepted, apply again for the next round. If you get picked up, it's like 20 grand in classes and exams. That's just free. When I did it in the before times, I had to pay for a bit of travel to get to the first class, but it's all online now. So it just costs a lot of time and hard work to get learning in. For somebody who isn't in that situation, I mean, a lot of what you can learn on your own. Great to have a mentor. I think, you know, hopefully you can be that mentor for this friend and give him some direction there. But there's so much free material out there nowadays. I mean, when I was in elementary school and trying to figure out how to be a computer programmer, I had my AppleSoft basic manual, and that was all I had. And it was a lot of self-learning. But now, I mean, it's all on YouTube and Stack Overflow. There are CTFs put on by like DC207, right? I played that one. That was fun. Over the Wire is fantastic. So I think if they can spend a little money, great. It's at some point you hit the HR firewall, right? You try to apply for a job and you don't have any certs, and HR just, you know, they throw up the red flag. So at some point, you know, you may need to sit for an exam and, you know, pay the Security Plus fee or whatever they end up going for, but just start learning and go after what interests them, right?
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome. Great question.
Chris, I have a question. You know, you talked a little bit about net wars. Just for folks who don't really know, what the heck is a net war?
Yeah, so it's something that my boss thought up like 10 years ago. It was a thing to do in the evenings at SANS conferences. So people would go, you know, take these classes, week-long classes, and then for like a night or two, sit in a room with a bunch of like-minded nerds and hack away. And nowadays, well, in the before times, it would get up to like 300 people in a room with like red lights and music thumping and drink tickets and scoreboards up on the wall, and it feels like the cool kid parties in high school, only I didn't get to go to those. So I guess it feels like what I think those parties were like, right? Because all these people are on the same wavelength and everyone's having fun and there's beer and stuff. And I think it's a great time. I love getting together in that type of context. And I miss being able to do that. But in the absence of that, you know, we were asked to build these mini Net Wars events. So through the summer, we had, I think, we had 4 rounds of mini Net Wars where it was just a smaller event that you could finish in, you know, maybe a couple of nights. And obviously it's BYOB now.
Very cool. So how does one get involved in that? Is that like a SANS thing you have to do, or?
Yeah, NetWars is a SANS brand. So at a conference, they may offer, when we get back to conferences, there'll be like a NetWars core, and that's the one that my company, the Counterhack, builds. And that's it's a bit of everything, but it's the only one with like a good amount of pen testing in it. There's one for defer. There's one for defense. There's one called NetWars ICS Cookie Factory, where there is, no kidding, like a small cookie factory in the front of the room, like a little oven and a mixer and whatever. And you have to like solve cyber challenges to keep the cookie machine going and baking chocolate chip cookies, which is just, that's brilliant. I hate them for thinking of that before I thought of that, but yeah, different challenges like that. We have online ones too. They're like NetWars Continuous is right now it's like an alien theme if you knew the Alien movies, and you can do the same types of challenges, but not at a conference.
Nika says she has another question regarding the format for the reports for the challenges. Do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Sure, and this might be a good time to share a screen again.
Yeah.
All right, so this is me in the holiday hack world, hopping around. I do want to show you the elevator too while we're in here, but then we'll get to reports. So one of the guys on the team, Evan Booth, who is good at UI. Again, I am not. He developed this whole like Santa's elevator thing where there are these sparkles coming out of the bottom there, and to get to different floors, you've got to direct the sparkles to different places and get them colored the right way. And you can see the logos that we added to the bulbs into the receptacles to help people who are lower on color vision. There are portals you can use too, and different things you can get. Anyway, so that's the elevator. So as far as reports, I'm going to go to holidayhackchallenge.com and pull up past challenges. This is by the way, this is KringleCon 3 French hens. That's the theme of this year's holiday hack. And if you go to the castle, you will meet the 3 French hens on the front lawn. So reports come in all types of formats. Some people will send in like PDFs. Some people will just put a few lines in the body of an email, and that's fine. I think they're just trying to get the free T-shirt giveaway, and that's great. And the people who win do these beautiful, beautiful reports. So this is Salah Heldon. He did this wonderful, wonderful write-up. There's his avatar, little happy teardrop head there. And then he broke out all the objectives from last year. There's one that was like solving a CAPTCHA, but super fast to prove that you're an elf and not a human. The Frito sleigh contest. There was a bit of if you ever saw Weird Science, there were a bunch of allusions to that. You didn't have to understand the movie to play, but there was a guy in the movie that was trying to win this Frito-Lay contest. Anyway, so Salah Heldon went all through. It just, did a wonderful job documenting the challenges, the thought process, the solution. Gives all his code and how he trained the model to solve this CAPTCHA challenge very quickly. So this is at the very, very high end. I will tell you that we had Salah Heldon beta testing for us this year, in part to make him ineligible, so he can't win again. Same as the ESNet team that won the year before, because their write-ups are fantastic as well. So it can be anything. So before I was a holiday hack developer, I played for 3 years. The first year was 2015, and I just barely got through everything right under the wire and submitted all my answers. I was super happy about that. The next year I finished it, but I was doing OSCP at the same time. So I didn't have a great report, but I like wordplay. I like poetry. So I rewrote, Billy Joel's The Longest Time. I wrote a parody of that went through the whole story of the 16 holiday hack and recorded it in like 5 parts and submitted that as part of my entry. And they had like an online award ceremony for the winners. I wasn't a winner, but they used my song as like kind of the closing credits tune. So I thought that was pretty cool. We have people make like magazines, like somebody made like a 8 or 10 page magazine. Like the North Pole Times or whatever it was, and that won like a creative entry award. So it takes all different formats.
That's so cool. It sounds like you can get really creative, and this like content of just having like a website, that's awesome. That's super impressive.
It would be way uglier if I built it.
So they're like really smart and they're good at web development. Oh man, some people have it all, right?
Yeah. Well, and some of our entries are from teams too. So, you know, maybe I could
Oh,
write all the pretty words and somebody else could make it look attractive and somebody else could help with the hacking or whatever.
but audio is a perfectly fine submission.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Actually,
someone needs to write a rock opera about the Holiday Hack Challenge or something like that.
that'd be fantastic. We one year, because like I would get so involved in these, and like, you know, I'm sorry family, I'm in the basement and I'm hacking when it's like Christmas time, right? And that's, you lose points for that. You lose wife points for that. But I made a point in I think 17 of involving the kids and the wife, and like we made a music video, and that was the submission that year was it was to the tune of Baby It's Cold Outside, but it fit the story of the holiday hack and had pictures of the kids like pulling each other's hair. And anyway, we had a lot of fun with that. So when you can involve your family in these things, it ends up being more fun, and you get more time to play.
That's awesome. Great advice. Do we have any more questions for Chris while we have him here? He's here, as you can see. And I feel like Deb and Chris and I are the only festive people. I'm kind of disappointed.
All right.
Ben, can I chime in to follow up on my question?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks for your answer. I just wanted to make sure that any reports that included things like drawings or videos would be like accepted, or if there was restrictions on the format.
Oh, not at all. So we try to avoid the 200-page report because we actually read all of these and have to like rank them. And but yeah, absolutely, videos, songs, pictures, drawings, absolutely, that stuff would all be awesome and get you big creative points. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
And how much time does it take someone to get through? Like, I only did one CTF ever as the main one here, and I was just proud that I got any points because I'm really new with this. But if you want to get all the points, how much time do you have to put into it?
Yeah, so it depends on who you are. Yeah. I mean, historically, we usually only have about 3% of all registered users complete the full thing. Yeah. And some of them can knock that out in like a day or two, and that's amazing. And those are like, you know, top of the industry super wizards. Mm-hmm. Some people spend a couple of weeks and only get halfway through, and that's fine as long as they're having fun and learning, right? We don't discriminate. But I think for me, it would usually take me I don't know, maybe 40 hours to get through everything, because I'm not super crazy ninja and I haven't done all the things. I haven't hacked all the things yet.
Sure.
Yeah. So however much time you have to give us, we'll try to keep you entertained.
Yeah, I'd be there for months.
Yeah,
myself, but I'm not experienced in this world, right? I could do the easy ones.
Well, and that's why I love it.
If I got 3 easy ones, I'm like, hey, I feel pretty good about that. I feel that's okay.
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely. And again, like I love that people do put so much effort and heart into building these responses, these write-ups, because you can go to any of the past ones and not get stuck, right? You can hit a challenge and then try it for a while and then look at somebody else's answer and then learn a thing and solve it and keep going. So yeah.
And these challenges stay up year round. It's just the challenges, they're like time boxed for submissions to the reports. That's the case, right?
Right. I think if you want to win, you've got until like January 4th to submit. But yeah, all the we try to keep them up forever, but some of the oldest ones, like the infrastructure is just broken down. So at least 5 years. So you can go back at least 5 years.
Awesome. Anthony writes, he has to drop, but thank you. It's been a while, but I always leave really energized. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Anthony.
Well, anybody have any other questions for Chris? And Chris is awesome. He's done all the things. He's working in this industry and making challenges to make InfoSec security professionals more awesome. Oh, you know, I do want to ask you a question. I saw that you were on Application Security Weekly a couple of years ago. How was that?
That was fun, thanks. Yeah, so I guess the short version is I was working on pen tests at Sage and got interested in all these struts vulnerabilities. And there's a plugin in Burp Suite if you use it. It's called ActiveScan++, and it only checked for one version of this flaw. But I extended it to check for more versions of a flaw. And then it was this whole process of learning GitHub and like in submitting code. And so I gave a talk about it at DerbyCon. And Keith Hoodlet, the guy who at the time was running Application Security Weekly, was in the audience. He's like, "Hey, would you like to come on and talk about the thing?" I'm like, "I'd love to come on and talk about the thing." So yeah, that was fun. Although he did ask me Emacs or VI, and I said Nano, and he shamed me. But other than that, it was a lovely interview.
You know, I know some like really amazing people who just they use Nano, and I'm just like, that's okay. You know, it's.
I use VS Code when I can, but if I'm at a terminal, I don't feel bad using Nano.
Peter writes VI. I too am VI, but you know, again, it's you know, I would say when I first got started with Linux and just being in the terminal, like Nano was just like a godsend, but it was just so awesome. And then I decided to try to get more elite or something. I don't know. I was like, I'm gonna be so cool. Just watch me with my VI skills, you know. But they're not necessary. So
that's right.
Mark says Emacs for the win. I don't know, Mark. Peter says Josh got me to use VI, and I used to be on the Nano train. So Josh is working against you. That's what I'm hearing.
That's fine. That's fine. He's Coast Guard. They're a little weird.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so funny. Awesome. Well, if we have no further questions, I won't keep you. I won't keep you all night, Chris. I want to say thank you very much for your time. It's just so great having you here to talk about this, and at least it's super informative to me. I'm just seeing how you guys like work on this stuff is just really kind of revealing. Like I've kind of built some capture the flag things, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if it's any good, but just the consideration of like, you know, the color blindness and the folks that, you know, may not culturally understand certain things. Like these are considerations that you have to make, and that's really cool. That's insight I definitely didn't have before. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Ben. This has been great. You're a fun crowd. Like I said, I keep meaning to get to the meetings, but you know, life and kids and excuses.
That's okay. We send all these up into the YouTube. So if you ever you know, get into the space where you want to check us out, whatever we get into. But yeah. Anyways, so for tonight, I just want to say, you know, nobody really wore festive clothes except for Deb and Chris. I was going to give anybody
and Gary
with,
Gary.
The last minute.
Gary's gone. Gary's not here anymore.
Mark is wearing a red vest or something, isn't he?
Yeah. So we are giving away $25 Amazon gift cards to anyone who's wearing festive Christmas wear. So I'm going to send you, Chris and Deb, some Amazon gift cards. So just send me your email address. I'm pretty sure I have yours, Chris, but I don't think I have yours, Deb. So
Well, thank you,
Oh,
Ben. That's very
really?
kind.
All of a sudden you don't have my email. Okay.
I
What?
must. I don't know. Oh, you know, I you
That's all right.
registered, so. Anyways, sorry.
Thank you.
Disorganized brain.
Thank
Yes,
you,
of course.
Chris. That was pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
Thank you, Deb.
Good job.
Next month, I still need to put up the details for the event, but we have case studies in hacking Azure. Should be fun if you're into Microsoft's enterprise cloud product. I'll be putting those up on the weekend. So I hope to see you all next month. Thanks again for spending time with us, and have a great Christmas, everyone. And
Thank
Happy
you,
New Year.
Ben. Have a great holiday. Nice to see you.
Happy holidays.
Thanks, guys. Nice seeing you all. Thank you.
Peter, hit me up. I want to chat.
Thanks, Ben.
Bye-bye.
See ya.